Hey there, we are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Welcome to the Gratitude Girls coaching and training. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Great, how are you?
I am wonderful. You know, they're saying things are not always what they appear to be.
That's
sitting,
right.
sitting here smiling, just sweating from the class that I just got back from. Oh my gosh, let me tell you, commitment. I wanted to talk about tonight. We'll just give a little tip and then we'll go back to like where we are. I thought it'd be a really great idea if we talk about like why we have certain people help us in our life doing things. I just came from a killer teacher who kills me, and I go back every single week. I know it's going to hurt so good, and I go back. I think that's a really good topic. Why do we have certain people in our lives and how do they guide us?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and you pay her to do that, right?
Oh, absolutely. On a monthly subscription so that I don't ever miss the class. So yes, I do. Let me introduce you tonight to someone who might be new on our training. I like to introduce you because I think you look so awesomely beautiful tonight. I am like sweaty and frizzy hair, and here I am. This is my beautiful Gratitude Girls partner who looks so amazing. I just have to try so hard when I'm going to be on the screen with her. This is Lori Delgradecki. She is my amazing partner in Columbia, Tennessee. I hope I said that right. In Tennessee, in the United States, and we are an international coaching and training call tonight. This is before and after. This is me before you get made up, and there's Lori after. So I'm really happy to be doing this training with you. I'm showing up. I think showing up is really important. I'm really happy to be doing this coaching and training with you tonight. And I'm really excited to talk about this subject, about why we have certain people in our lives that we continue to choose and pay and get better. And how do we measure that? And my name is Catherine Sarah Myers. And I don't know if you want to introduce me, Lori. So if you do, go right ahead.
Yes, Catherine Asara Myers. She is my wonderful, beautiful Gratitude Girls partner from Ontario, Canada, or in Ontario, Canada, right? And right by are you still by the falls?
Yeah, not far. Exactly. We're
Right?
in wine country.
Yeah. So maybe sometime back in Toronto, but currently by the falls.
Oh,
So
yes,
we
yes,
get
and
to go back
yes.
up there sometime soon.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and yes to everything. Keep your eye on the moving Gratitude Girls, because that's what we like to do. Let's dive into tonight's topic. I'll just put a little timer on, but we know what's going on because we have a private coaching after this. I thought it would be fun to talk about the people that we hire in our lives, the people that we choose to come to us, that we go to them, that give us value. So I'll talk about my instructor coach for my classes. So we'll talk about all kinds of coaches. So I have an amazing instructor who teaches a class that I know I am going to be feeling like I can't breathe during it. But I run to that class and I run home to be here, and I make it by a fraction of a minute. And I do that because I don't want to miss that class. I wait all day on Monday to do it. She's going to give us value. She's going to give us her best, and I'm going to be better as a result of it. Do you have someone? I know you do. Someone like that in your life? Why do we keep going back to people like that, besides that we think they're awesome?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, it helps you to stay in line, right? It helps you to stay with the goals that you want to accomplish. And so they can be in any different area too, right? So, just like, you and I both do, life and business coaching with a lot of our clients, but we also have coaches, but we have several different ones in several different areas, right? And so I have what a lot of people would say a spiritual coach. I have a pastor that the same thing. We go to church and we tithe at the church and give him money, and he yells at us and tells us what we should do better, right? But to get closer to God, to where we want to be on that spiritual level. And we have, like right now, I have you could call him a coach for our home building, because we are renovating the house and we are doing some of it, but we don't know what to do with everything. And so we have someone there that is teaching us as well as doing a lot of it too. But making sure that the same thing, that we're staying on track with it. And then I even have my dad, who was for 40 years a custom home builder, who is like above that we check in with him, and he gives us advice on where we should be at and what we should be doing, and giving us tips and ideas of how to stay on track.
Right. And let's talk about a couple of topics. What about financial coaches, people who guide us with our finances, not only the people that have our money, but other people that we talk to, that we ask for advice. Maybe there are bankers, but we have people in our lives that we speak to about money, that we talk to them about the small things and the big things, the current, the past and the future. And we have goals for that. And I think it's a really good idea to communicate, especially as a family and a couple, about your financial goals and where you want them to be. So in addition to having a coach, it's really important to have support at home. So even though we make our own money, we have our couple family, we talk about that. So I may not talk to my husband about a small purchase for my business, although I do speak to him about many things, but I may have to make some, decisions on the spot. And that's not that kind of structure that I'm talking about, but in terms of a home, living, the risks that we might take with our money, the things that we might do to make additional money. So I think this is good to have a coach and speak to our family members and have support, because you know what that's like. You've seen that, Lori. We have customers and clients, and I call them ambassadors, who do have full support, and that works differently than someone who doesn't have full support. And if we could encourage that on as many levels as possible, even if there are some where there isn't, maybe the scales are tipped a little bit, no pun intended about that. So I think with the financial aspect, it's great to have that conversation and to talk about money. Don't let it be the best kept secret in the room. Discuss it. All of it. No secrets. It's much easier to remember the truth and to stick to the plan when we know what the financial plan is. And if we go off that beaten path, then we know this is where we went wrong. This is where we went right. This is what's happening. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. Yeah. And I just wanted to add one more thing to that, is also make sure, especially for a financial coach, but for any type of coach, make sure that they've got the experience that they're claiming. So there's lots of coaches out there. And it seems like, especially since COVID started, like Catherine and I both have been coaching for over 20 years each. But it seems like since COVID started, like everybody, quote, became a coach. And so check people's credentials. Make sure that they, like exactly that, like a financial coach. You don't want to take a financial coaching tips from someone who's broke.
That's a good point. And some of the places, let's talk about where you can look at some of those things. If you want to use social media, I really like the reliability of LinkedIn. And I'll tell you why I like this, because I could put anything on my website and say that, someone said it, which I wouldn't do that, but I could. And that person could be, 3 generations related to me. What I like about LinkedIn is that person has to submit that themselves, and I have to accept it for it to be on my profile. And I think when someone says to me, do you have any testimonials that I can see? What do you have? I just tell them, go to my LinkedIn. Just go there and take a look and search who you want and ask who you want about me. So to what you just said, with regard to a coach, a financial coach, you could ask them if they have a social media profile, not what they created and showed, but what other people can attest to. And I think that's pretty important If it's not something that they do, if for some reason they don't have that type of information, then ask for some maybe not a recommendation, for some referrals. Let's go to another subject. Let's talk about, you said spiritual, I want to talk about guidance. I've had a lot of different people in my life, and still do, that coach me on different things that I include in my life that are not part of my business. It's not something I sell or do, or that we ask people to learn from us. We do that for us. So when you are a person who believes in lifelong learning, you don't say, well, I have a fitness coach, so therefore when I'm done with that, then I'm going to go and do that. You could work on yourself. We work on many levels of ourselves. So it could be your personal growth. It could be your finances. It could be your health, your body, your doctor, your naturopathic doctor, your parish, your rabbi, your priest. You could have a mentor, someone. My husband is my mentor for so many things. I'm so happy I married someone who's 9 years older than me. I always said to him, you're going to be able to teach me things. And sometimes we talk about it and he says, well, you teach me things. I say, yes, but you're my, elder. So there are things that he has patience for that I don't. So I think it's important to engage with people that we care about, because not everyone can say their husband or their wife is their mentor about things, because they just don't have that. So my husband keeps me really straight and narrow with my food. I used to do that for a living and have that as one of my businesses. So we discuss food to the degree of ridiculous. And he makes sure that we have and discuss how we're going to eat. And that's beyond paying someone, right? It's about, are you coachable? The best leaders and coaches are students. So if you find that you are coachable, then you probably will have a good experience. But if you're sort of like that, it might be hard to navigate. So be open to learning and exploring different things, and try that with someone who you care about, and see if you can be negotiable with them. There are some people in my life I'm not really easy to talk. It's not easy to talk to them. I just think that's going to be a hard conversation. It's a choice that we make, and maybe we can say it's not going to be a hard conversation. So it's all in our head. Where do you think it starts, Lori?
Yeah, I definitely think it always starts in your head. And a lot of times your head might be wrong. And that's where having a coach in different areas is really good too, because a lot of times you might be automatically thinking one way, and somebody else who thinks in a different way than you will think in another way. So I do that as well. A lot of things I bring up to my husband before I even reply to business clients. If it's a touchy situation, I might run by him how I'm going to reply to the person before I hit reply. And a lot of times he's more tactful in in wording something the way the way that I should word it, because like I might read it, and especially in a text or in an email, you read it with your voice inflection, but then when they read it without you reading it to them or saying it, they read it with their interpretation of that voice inflection, and that could be totally different. And I've done that even with you, Catherine. I know I've read things to you before and said, how do you think I should say this? And you've given me tips back as well, and that's it. It's, because you have to be able to be willing to say that you don't know it all. And maybe somebody can help you in a certain area, in most areas, if not every area, because nobody's perfect and nobody's 100% perfect in any area, right? You might even be, very, very, experienced in a certain area, but still you're not perfect.
And thank you for mentioning that. When you care about someone and you open up, because you have answered so many things that I've asked you as well, because I'm open to how you and I interact. And I've decided that you will always have my best interest at heart, even though you've decided that, I've decided that. So whatever you say, I know you have my best interest at heart, and I don't ever feel defensive about it. Now, ever is a big word, but that's the trust that is really important to build with people. If you tell someone, your coach, your husband, your friend, your mentor, something, you want to make sure that you know that they're going to say this for your benefit. And if you don't believe that, then that's probably not the right person. You have to really feel. I can think about a mentor that I had when I was in my 20s. I remember getting up at 4:30 in the morning. I still do. I was trained in my 20s to get up at 4:30 in the morning. But when I was 18, I was going to bed at 4:30 in the morning. So then like a little bit later, a couple of years later, it switched around. That was a habit that was instilled in me because I was taught that when you get up early and you have that time to yourself, nobody can interrupt you with that. And I was a single mom in my 20s. So I got up early to do things like, you know what that's like when you have a family. So I had to then get up and go to work. So I believed in my mentor, and I still have those habits. And you will develop habits when people start to coach and train you, and you find that you're doing those things, then you're in the right place with the right person. And because you can see for yourself what is going on if you have that affinity towards them. Now, what happens if you get sort of stuck with someone like a teacher or an instructor and you just don't hit it off and you think, oh, should I give it another try? How do you go into something when you sort of have a feeling that's not positive? Do you give up? Do you keep going? How do you handle it?
Well, I think first you have to think about making sure it's not a reflection of you. Because a lot of times we attract what we are.
Hmm.
Right. And so if we attract someone, whether it be a coach or anything else that we feel is not giving us the right answers or whatever that we are looking for, that we think that we need, then that's it. Then maybe that's a good time to take a reflection of ourselves and look inside and see, if we had attracted that. And, like they say that if you're pointing a finger, then you've got three fingers pointing back at you. Right. And so, yes, you might hire a coach that's not good for you. And so hopefully you're not in a big contract. You could always look at that. Like I know Catherine and I, we don't have contracts. You can work with us as long as you want or as little as you want. But, so you're not in a contract. But then also, that you could get away, without any hurt feelings on either side. Make sure that there is that break possible, but also just make sure though that's it, that it's maybe not something that, maybe it's just something that you need to work on, because nobody likes criticism, right? But we all need it sometimes.
Another perspective. I like that what you and I talk about often is how we have the same belief system and values, and we can still come at it from a different perspective. It makes me think about our own personal quests. Now, this may seem off topic, but for the people that are into this tonight, you're going to understand what I mean. Like Gloria and I both have an affinity for our hair. There's no question about that. Like you don't have to guess at that. And I am always on a quest to be better, to do better, to have better, so I will spend relentless hours researching products and testimonials. By the way, I tried something new today. And I will look at 400 of 800 testimonials before I buy something. I won't take forever to do it. I'll do it quickly because I am always striving to be better. And if I find something that works, I know that there's a period of time when it comes to something like that where we want to continue to be better. Cooking, our bodies, our health, our mind, our spiritual intelligence, our emotional intelligence, the levels that we vibrate on. So I'm always out there. I know Lori is too. And see if you do this with yourself. Do you go out there and search for something even when you know what you have is good? Or do you wait for it to break? Are you a responder or a reactor? Or are you proactive? Do you say, oh, I'm out of shampoo. I don't know what to do. My hair is terrible. I'm having, or do you go out there and say, well, the weather is changing. The climate is changing. I'll be going on holiday. I want to, do you go and take care of things ahead of time? Just notice that about yourself. There's really no right or wrong, but notice what type of behavior you have when it comes to that. And perhaps that's going to reflect in your business. If you leave it till the last second, if you do it only when you absolutely think you need to do it, if you do something ahead of time, if you have choices and options, if you build yourself a cushion, think about a trampoline and think about when people are flying in the air in the circus, they have a trampoline. Now that's still a fall, but it's not a fall to cement. So you've got something there. Think about when you conduct yourself in business. Do you just wait till you hit the ground, or do you understand and know what some of the things are, those repercussions will be based on your actions, what will happen? Or you just wait and figure it out, shoot from the hip? That's another reason why a mentor, a coach, an instructor, a teacher is a good person to have, because they may suggest something that you're not seeing because you're too focused on it. You may not see anything except that one thing. When the horses are racing, they have those blinders on. So I wanted to open up the conversation for a few minutes, Lori, about really understanding that we have options and we can build some safety nets. And a coach could push you to the limit, but a good coach will be there to work with you when it maybe goes another way. I pushed a bunch of people today talking about, I'll give you an example. Here's an example of a right out there coach. So I was in a networking meeting and I asked someone for an appointment. The goal was to make an appointment. So I said, okay, let's make an appointment. Who would like to, let's take the next 30 seconds and do that. So I asked the person that I asked already knew I was going to ask her. I prefaced it. I didn't put her on the spot. And her answer was, I'll give you my Calendly link. And I said, why do you want to take something that's live and put it to something digital? When I walk into a meeting, I know the next 2 available times that I have. If they don't work, I'll say, go digital. But I will say I'm available. If it's true, I'm available after this meeting and I'm available Thursday at 4. Do either of those 2 work for you? If they do, great. If not, here's my link. So I was a little bit in that group. I was the one who went like right to the edge. And someone said, well, we're all busy. And I said, I'm not asking you for excuses. I'm asking you if you walk into a meeting knowing your schedule. That's all. Not, is today the only day you could see me? Maybe it's in 2 weeks. So this is an awareness exercise. So I was the coach in the room that made everybody think. I received 3 appointments from that on the spot, because I pushed the thinking of, well, after the meeting, I'll just go look everything up, to let's do it right now. When, or not even for me, it wasn't to make an appointment with me. It was to make an appointment with the people in the group. Because imagine, Lori, if I wait for you to go look at that link and you get to it in 3 days. I'm old news already if I don't get you now. So a good perspective, a clean, fresh, not clear perspective is someone who gives you a thought that you think is out of this. Forget it. That's too forward. I couldn't do that. Okay. Well, if you go into a meeting and you don't know when you're available next, why go into that meeting? What are you going to do? Say, I don't know, just figure it out later. Send me a message, send me an email. Oh my goodness, please. If you want to get something done and you're dealing with send me an email, you're definitely going to be 10th on the list. What do you think about that?
Yes, definitely. I was just thinking when you were saying that, I have 4 people in my LinkedIn right now that I had started to set up an appointment with that did exactly that. Here's my Calendly link. And I've not gotten back to them. And it's literally, like you just said, it's been 3 days. And, I'm busy, and if you want to make me wait the time till I have time to check your Calendly link and then see if yours goes with mine, I'll do it. But that just
I'll do it too, but I do like if I'm live with someone that I could, get that vibe while I've got it. Otherwise, there's so much digital noise out there. And there are money-making appointments, and there are prospecting appointments, and there are different types of appointments, and there are certain times of the day where you and I, we use our schedule. This is when I do this, and this is when I do that, and anything else, once I'm done, I move on to the next thing. And it could be days before I actually answer that person. And if you leave it to me to go and fish through my appointment, I'm going to wait till my business appointments are done before I'm going to fish through them. So I'm really going to leave it till Thursday night and see if I feel like there's time on Friday. I'm not going to on Monday give you an appointment on Thursday of this week. Hardly. It's not going to happen because it's not possible, right? So I would like to raise the awareness that when you're talking to people about appointments, it's important to have digital connectivity with Zoom links, all of that, but be ready to make the connection. Even if it's not in the next 48 hours, but just be ready for that.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's important. So when we deal with coaching and clients and making appointments with our coaches, we need to know when we're available. Imagine if our coach said, well, I'm going to wait and see if I get a new client first, and then I'll sort of get back to you. It was, you don't want to leave your meeting without booking the next meeting. I think that's a really important tip. So I'll just say it again. You don't want to leave your meeting without booking the next meeting, because then it's going to be old news. So when we get live with you, we tell you, we'll see you next Monday. We'll see you at 9 o'clock. We'll be in the private room. We will tell you exactly where we will be. So we're letting you know how you can reach us. What do you think, Lori? Should we talk about what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 minutes? Did you have something else you wanted to add? I'm so sorry.
Yes, no, that's exactly perfect. And yes, just the biggest thing too is just remember that you should have different coaches in different areas of your life that you want to improve. Like we talked about fitness, we talked about health, we talked about food, we talked about finances, we talked about the house, and same thing, your car mechanic, right? So any area of your life that you don't have that knowledge, and even if you do, still there's always more you can learn, right? And even reading books, you should always be reading books to learn even more too. So, but yes, so most of you know that Catherine and I both have been coaching for over 20 years each, and we have the Gratitude Girls coaching practice. And so we have every single Monday night, right after this free training that we give you, we have what we call our private dining room. So if you don't know about that yet and you would like to see more information, you can go to gratitudegirls.com/coaching and see more information there. We have several different options to choose from the one-on-one, or shall we say 2-on-1 coaching, to just try us on for size, to our group coaching, and to our private dining room coaching every Monday night.
And if you have any questions, I would invite you to put your questions below this video. And if they're private questions, then you can reach us by sending us a message, a private message on our Facebook, Gratitude Girls Facebook business page. Hopefully I'm sending you there the right way, facebook.com/Gratitude Girls. And if you do think about it, any question you might have is probably a question that someone else has. So it's so valuable when you can put that question out there. Questions are really key for engagement. And everyone really appreciates when somebody else takes that step. It doesn't have to be them. So if you're brave enough to do that, or if you have a question, please go right ahead and post it below this training. And Lori, what about our show? Let's just mention that. I want to share something. We talk about appointments. Our Gratitude Girls show, we're booking a year in advance. Talk about appointments. So that's a really good indicator if you're giving value to someone. So think about that. Think about if you want to learn a little bit more about how to book yourself solid. Well, maybe you have a question about that. We could cover that at either another free training, or if you want to get specific about your business or your industry, we can talk about that as well.
Yes, absolutely. And so we will see you right here, the same place next Monday night, everyone. Good night.
Have a good week. Good night.